Hello, I'm Shen, and this is Hephaestus. As the name might tip you off, this is going to be the subordinate function that Gaia will use to make lots and lots of robots. Her personal forge. Except, it's not that simple. You probably noticed that only about a third of you are robotics engineers. The rest, experts in machine cognition, virtual heuristics, that stuff. Well, that's because we aren't going to be the ones designing and building robots. The last thing we want is to burden Gaia with a bunch of outmoded 21st century designs. Waste of time. Our purpose is to empower Gaia to build the robots, and not just build, imagine, from scratch. Any robot she needs for any conceivable purpose, designed and fabricated at a snap of a finger. Hers. Her finger. So, Hephaestus isn't really the forge. It's more like the knowledge of craft and ingenuity of a mastersmith to wield the hammer. Encoded as software. Virtual creativity made real. Gaia's already learning. In simulation, she's doing some very creative things with fractal assembly and animal morphologies. Her designs aren't about to win the Liam Prize anytime soon, but hey, everyone has to start somewhere. So, yes, time to get started. Let's do this.
I don't get it. If Hephaestus was part of a system designed to save life, why would it use cyan to make a cauldron? And churn out machines with no other purpose than to kill people?
Somehow it's gone rogue. I don't understand why or how. But whatever the reason, it explains why machines have become more dangerous over the years.
Trying to hunt down people instead of... Weird. Full steam ahead. Margot, if I doubted your brilliance in the slightest, I wouldn't have picked you as the Hephaestus Alpha. You need to stop worrying about your age and communication style. You are who you are, have confidence in yourself, you know what you're doing. Case in point, the latest draft of your plan for the construction and stocking of bootstrap silos to store raw materials is excellent. This, combined with your design for the AM Foundry Core and the Foundry Site Selection Plan, add up to a comprehensive plan. It's time to start construction. One detail. Consult with Iomide Okilo before you finalize the silo inventories. Hephaestus' first task will be to fabricate the robots that will construct the waveform broadcast towers Minerva will use to transmit the deactivation codes. So any exotic materials needed for the towers should be accounted for in the inventory plan. Elizabeth. Ooh, there is something.
I've seen these shapes before. In cauldrons.
But of course, the birthing places of Gaia's machines.
I don't know what I'm doing. Not going in that door, that's what I'm doing. Is there anything else in here? I guess... yes? Simulation results. From Margot Shen to Elizabeth. We weren't kidding about Gaia's predilection for animal morphology. Sure, not totally unexpected given the rough natural terrain her bots will have to navigate, but I agree there's something deeper going on here. Her designs aren't just functional, they feel almost like tributes is the word that comes to mind, although she's already mourning their loss, and not just for the disappearing fauna of her time, but creatures from the fossil record too, references to megafauna in some of her designs. So cool. Whatever Gaia thinks up, Hephaestus will empower her to build it. I just wish we could still be around in a century too to see what she makes. Oh, so that's why we have robot dinosaurs. Robot dinosaurs and other dinosaurs. Interesting. Okay. Pick this up. Not that that was super important. So Hephaestus is building blocks. Minerva's the one that's gonna decode the robots, deactivate the robots. Except now they're being reactivated. Can I have that? Can I have that? I see it. Can I have it? Am I gonna get in that room later? I guess the answer to that is yes. Gonna have to talk to Cyan after all this.
I think this is it. Elizabeth Sobeck's office. But it's sealed off.
We'll get in there.
There's got to be a way inside.
We'll get in there.
Keep looking.
Silence, where are you when all this is happening? What are you doing?
More clips.
Careful now.
Of course there are. Should have picked up the gun and just dragged it all the way down here, but I didn't want to do that. She said more clips, but I don't see anybody.
Welcome to Apollo, the collective memory of the human species and the wellspring of knowledge for future generations. I am Samina Ebaji. Until recently, I was director of the International Collective Memory Institute in New Tehran. As a heritage professional, I devoted my career to the preservation of human knowledge, creative endeavor, and cultural achievement. Apollo is, therefore, the ultimate embodiment of a lifelong passion, albeit under the very worst circumstances imaginable. The challenges before us are immense. Specifically, we will have to design and implement 4 major initiatives simultaneously. First, the construction of data repositories in CRADLE facilities around the world, ensuring redundancy. Second, the collection and processing of a projected 180 million discrete data entries. 42 zettabytes of data in Mandarin, English, Spanish, and Arabic. Third, the transferal and encoding of all that data onto DNA encapsulated in synthetic fossils. The only medium capacious and durable enough to safeguard it without degradation for the centuries to come. And last, but not least, the development of the holographic interface and gamified curricula, by which future humans will commune with Apollo, progressively unlocking heuristic learning modules, leveling up their knowledge and skills they will need to take control of the terraforming system. That is the future towards which all of our efforts will be directed. Not just the preservation of the past, but the seed for the flourishing of a new tree of knowledge. Welcome, and let us begin.
So they're not just supposed to learn of the cultures of the Earth, but how to take over Gaia's systems. Damn! The fact that we don't have access to Apollo is just... The winner is encapsulated data. Over the past 10 days, I performed an exhaustive review of data storage solutions, magnetic, optical, quantum, even the Eternity tech that the FAS was shilling a year or so ago, but every other solution has one or more fatal shortcomings. Too heavy to transport, too massive to install in the allotted space, too power intensive over the centuries, too prone to failure past 300, 400 years, etc. Encapsulated data will easily hold the 40 plus zettabytes we're projecting for Apollo. There are still many details to finalize, of course. To start with, we need to select the inert material in which we'll embed the molecules, already tested 16 candidate materials, as well as design and fabricate the power systems and sealed reliquaries that will keep the DNA at 18 degrees Celsius for 1,000 plus years. So long as I assure you it didn't factor into my decision, may I confess I deemed it entirely fitting, indeed propitious, that we will be using the very billion blocks of life to preserve human knowledge from mechanized extinction. It's not just ironic, but heroic. Life is the hero beating back the forces of oblivion. In any case, much to do. Till next time. Apollo. Apollo update. Over the past 2 months, the full benefit of our procurement of a copy of the Homer archive from Far Zenith has made itself known, and as a result, all of Apollo's key deliverables are on schedule. Apollo's already surpassed 40 million discrete data entries, continues to grow. The physical science modules are effectively complete, with soft science modules close behind. World history, cultural data, and media archives are also on schedule. Language preservation is wrapping up a bit ahead of schedule due to falling short of our goal to preserve 4,500 languages. I suppose the tragic early loss of Papua New Guinea doomed the goal from the onset, with attendant curricula development about to begin. Speaking of the heuristic curricula, they're performing well in testing, with children and adolescents demonstrating high levels of engagement with and trust in the Aristotle and aphasia personae. Personally, I find them highly engaging, especially when they debate. I wish half my professors had been so entertaining. I want a version of Apollo in real life. Oh, no.
Not sure what that was.
Anyway. No, everything's fine. Don't worry about it.
Oh no!
No! I bring out the bombs when I don't want to deal with you.
Got eyes on him.
Got eyes on you. Anyone got a fun, weapon I can steal off of you?
You can't invade this shadow.
Jesus. Oh, there we go. Alright.
Shadow guide.
Get off. Go away. Go away. Die already.
Once more.
In what should have been a cave of wonders, look around. See if anything is left.
Dr. Sobeck, please archive this testimonial in Apollo. Cross-reference to all mentions of my name and Operation Enduring Victory. My name is General Aaron Harris. From 2060 to 2066, I served as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the highest-ranked officer of the United States Armed Forces. The tenure of my command included strategic planning and oversight of Operation Enduring Victory, a falsehood perpetrated on the civilian populations of the United States and other nations during the last 14 months of life on this planet. Before the Pharaoh Plague, I did my job and did it well. I was bold and decisive, crafty in political maneuvers. It wasn't an accident that I rose to my position and became the commander of the largest mechanized force ever assembled. But to what end? My only lasting achievement was the extinction of life on Earth, and my one redeeming act, if any, was to delay that extinction by days or weeks, by throwing more death at it. It is my hope that there will be no need for men like me in the world to come. If you are one of the people of that future world listening to this message, please know that I am sorry and that I wish you well. Sincerely, Aaron Harris.
I like this guy. Is there anything down here? seemed like a decent person in the end. If I find nothing, I will cut all this out. Yeah, that's where we climbed up, and there's nothing there. Okay.
Welcome to
Jesus.
Hades. Zero
Hey.
Dawn's Extinction Failsafe Protocol. The ultimate killer app. Now, I know what you're thinking. The purpose of Gaia is to resurrect life. So why give her a subordinate function, only purpose of which is to wipe out life all over again? I mean, what? Just plumb crazy, ain't it? Well, no, it isn't. Reconstituting a biosphere? That's a tall order. Tech smart as Gaia may be, odds are she won't get it right the first time. I mean, imagine you're Gaia 200 years from now and this new biosphere growing, it's all gone wrong. Alkalines are skyrocketing, coniferous forests eroding under the lash of superstorms that would have drowned Noah. It's chaos, spinning top that won't stop wobbling. Now what are you gonna do? Release phase 1 organisms into that hot mess? Hope their CO2 and methane can balance out what you got started? Hell no. What you're gonna do, Gaia, is step aside while Hades takes over and does what you're just too darn nurturing and life-loving to do, which is burn that misbegotten mess of a biosphere to the ground so Gaia can start over. Okay, not burn, more like reverse terraforming operations and suffocate it. But you get the idea. Hades takes the biosphere back to zero. Square one, blank slate. And then, only then, does it hand the steering wheel back to Gaia and say, try again, old girl. And better this time, or we'll have to do this again. That's Hades. It's pretty badass when you think about it. Extinction on demand. Death on speed dial. All for the greater good, of course, but still, kind of metal. So welcome to Hades. Welcome to the void.
Okay, so if that's the original purpose of Hades, why does it want me extinct? And how's it end up in the wreckage of a pharaoh titan getting worshipped by the Eclipse like some kind of god?
If Hephaestus went rogue, why not Hades too?
That's what I'm thinking, but why? And what caused it?
Exactly.
Keep searching, and perhaps we'll find the answer.
Noise complaints? Color me confounded, Lizzie. Bashcore? Anyone who says the old TT codes to Bashcore is straight up lying, and you know it. Old Trav don't have no truck with commercialized razzle-dazzle? Nuh-uh. Heck, I'd rather guzzle a liter of Citarum runoff than listen to Grey Swarm for 30 seconds. Hand to God, swear on my mama's grave, if she was religious. Nah, that ain't Bashcore blasting in Hades' lab, shaking the walls, rattling folks' teeth. It's death metal, girl. Classical music, 80s and 90s mostly. Got me some Dutch deathcore, some Japanese gore grind, some Swedish cannibal themed stuff too. Stop by if you want to listen, or heck, just come within 50 meters of the lab. Ain't no Bashcore you'll hear, or hear rather, in the screech that rends the air, and feel in the throbbing pulse of the floor and walls and ceiling, swallowing you up like you was Jonah trapped in the gullet of gothic dead fish. Hallelujah. As for those requests to turn it down, no can do, Lizzie. This is how I code. Turn down my death metal? Might as well give up stimulants, chocolate malts, and industrial accident vids. Last I heard, we was supposed to be coding Hades down here. Am I really supposed to code an extinction protocol without death metal to inspire me? Nah, I don't think so. Stay cool, Trav. I apparently missed a codex, and I am sad. But it's fine. Tate here. Just popped 3 blues, but I earned it. Finally figured out a Goldilocks solution to Gaia's rather extreme executive authority. If that ain't worth 10-12 hours of dream time, what is? For this, every usurpation protocol I designed failed in simulation because it was either too hard or too soft. Too hard, and it degraded Gaia's core. Sure, It pried her figurative fingers off the figurative driving wheel so Hades could take control, but by breaking her fingers, sometimes her arms too, that couldn't fly. Everything depends on Gaia taking control back after Hades has done its business, so I had to find a solution that didn't leave Gaia any worse for the wear. Too soft, and Gaia only pretended to relinquish control. In simulation after simulation, Hades would take command of the terraforming system and reverse operations, only to have Gaia lurk in the background, quietly reversing processes and falsifying telemetry to hide its interference. Sneaky, I swear. Ain't nothing Gaia wouldn't do to keep life going, even when it's just simulated plant life. Turns out the just right solution is to isolate Gaia in a protective code shell, preserving its integrity, then unseat it from command position so Hades can slip into the figurative captain's chair and work its magic. Those blues are coming on strong now, so I'm not really describing it so clear, but I'm pretty sure it'll work. Yeah, those blues are pretty strong. Guess it's time to sleep in bed. Get back to it tomorrow. Alligators. Alligators. Archive abuse. Mr. Tate, this mail concerns Apollo Archive submission numbers. Your 666th submission in just 5 days. What a doozy. Despite earlier warnings, inappropriate materials, you chose to submit 265 holographic remasters of acknowledged classics of extreme exploitation cinema? Allow me then to thank you on 2 counts. 1, for giving me the pleasure of rejecting your submission, thereby consigning your favorite Eastern European torture flicks and their ilk to the dust heap of oblivion. It truly warms my heart to know that I have saved future humanity from the ordeal of experiencing not just one, but all 16 installments of milking a millipede. Don't worry, the Pazasoli material has already been preserved. Extreme, perhaps, but art. 2, for clarifying a concept that has so long been ambiguous and ethically fraught for archivists such as myself. The definition of obscenity. You've freed me from the subjective quagmire embodied in Judge Potter's famous utterance, "I know it when I see it." Thanks to you, I can now apply a single objective criterion. Demonstrate submitted it. It's obscene. Accordingly, I've directed Apollo staff to summarily reject all your future submissions, sight unseen. Perhaps you might invest the time you would have spent preparing further submissions on, I don't know, your assigned work. We have a world to save after all, or the rest of us do anyway. Jesus. Oh, Lord. I do love how they set this Tate guy up. He is something else.
Looks like the only way onwards.
No more Eclipse, please.
Welcome to Eleuthia, the crown and king of Gaia's subordinate functions. For it is by Eleuthia that the human race will continue to exist. I am Patrick Brochard-Klein, the Alpha in charge of this program. Now let one thing be perfectly clear from the outset. Eleuthia is not a genetic engineering project. Our goal is to preserve the human genome, not alter it. A snapshot of human genetic diversity, literally frozen in time. The genetic quintessence of our species, unmodified. Under my watch, our activities and initiatives will comply with the 2034 clone provisions and the 2048 Rally Accords. Now that may seem a quaint, even trivial concern to you in light of present circumstances, but as one of the authors of the Accords, it is far from trivial to me. The practical challenges before us are staggering in scope and complexity, but not insurmountable. No. Global collation and provisional storage of zygotes, perfection of exogenic technologies, design and perfection of servitors, to provide nurture and inculcation during early child development. All of these program components must and will proceed in tandem.
To say nothing of the breakneck construction of CRADLE facilities at sites around the world. So, si vous êtes prêts, let us begin.
All right.
Are these what I think they are?
Artificial wombs. Machines to spawn a new generation of human beings.
Ah! Come on, thank you. Development of the artificial persona for CRADLE servitors, nurturer, disciplinarian, healer continues at a good pace. We're targeting turning point 4 for these constructs. This should allow low-grade empathy and limited improvisation without undermining adherence to codified behavior sets. The stimulus-driven switching of persona, however, is proving to be a greater software challenge than anticipated, especially concerning our entrenched feedback loops between the disciplinarian and healer persona. I've also attached the reports from an incident where a servitor running the mother persona intervened on a disciplinarian servitor's behavior, a parental argument, if you will. Amusing on first glance, perhaps, but deeply concerning. I've attached a comprehensive plan for correcting these interactive protocol shortcomings. Data corrupted. Now, do I want to go up? Yeah, I guess I do. Let's see what else is around here. Cradle sealed. Eleuthia 1 was successfully sealed before the swarm advancing across Xinjiang province could detect it. Ping back from crucial systems is good. For our maiden voyage, a success. Regards my disputes with the betas over zygote selection. Of course, I understand we have limited overhead to run simulations of gene flow and our future humans, but we can all agree there's margin for refinement in future CRADLE populations. In addition to personally overseeing completion of the Eleuthia 02 site inside Mount Nimoli, I will formulate and propose a modified zygote selection plan within the week. So choosing the genetics of the population as a whole, I think. Did I scan this one already? No. The zyogenic chambers arrived 2 days ago. I've spent the last 36 hours examining them and poring over technical documentation. They're a revelation, astonishing. Don't know what you had to give Far Zenith in trade to get these chambers, but it was worth it. In a single leap, their embryologists have vaulted past 50 years of technological shortcomings. The risks of ECMO resolved, nutrition delivery resolved, hormonal stability resolved, 12 other risk areas resolved. Before I examined these chambers, I considered the Odyssey to be a fool's errand. But if the cost of FC's technology is at this level, while a human colony around Sirius doesn't seem so impossible after all. Mass fabrication of the chambers will present a number of challenges, but I'm confident they can be resolved. I'm going to rest for a few hours, then get back to it. Expect a fabrication plan within 48 hours. So this makes it sound like the Odyssey was to launch, that it didn't work. But the Codex, because they were going to launch these embryos, I don't know, to the moon or something, out into space. And then the ship blew up, supposedly, or something happened. And it said it had a build of Apollo on it. So it makes it sound like the Odyssey was a project kind of in link with Zero Dawn. But then I thought that guy who was rambling about, we're not ready for spaceflight, I thought he mentioned the Odyssey, but maybe... So I thought the Odyssey happened before Zero Dawn, but it seems like it happened in conjunction with it, and was obviously a test that failed, but I'd have to go back and figure out this timeline. Interesting. Okay. Where am I going? I'm going this way. I scanned that. Okay. So who the heck came up with the Odyssey?
Facilities. Elizabeth said a new generation of humans would be spawned inside such places.
She did.
All Mother Mountain. It was one of them?
There's only one way to be sure.
The hatch wouldn't open. Something about a corrupted Alpha registry. I need to search Elizabeth's office. I'd have to leave something else behind.
I know, game. I have too much loot. It's fine. I don't care. Come on. Oh. Anything back here? No. Except getting myself stuck, which is totally fine. Okay.
Benefit from antilopinae morphologies, though caprid forms show superior load-bearing capability.
You're a quick study, Gaia.
Dr. Sobeck, as I have conducted this comparative analysis of mammalian morphologies, I've gathered extensive data on the quaternary extinction event.
Oh? And your assessment? Gaia?
Logically speaking, the extinction was a natural consequence.
And yet,
I find the loss of megafaunal species unaccountably sad. That they passed forever into oblivion causes me to experience a grief that is difficult to describe. Am I malfunctioning?
No, Gaia, you're not. This is good. It's very good.
Looks like it used to hold something. Some component that got removed.
You will undergo a brief period of unconsciousness during relocation to Prime and final instatement.
Elizabeth, may I speak outside protocol?
When you're back up and running at the new site, we'll bring the subordinate functions online and see where we stand.
Elizabeth, I detect distress. Are you all right?
I'm fine.
I realize that circumstances compel us to launch earlier than we hoped, but all subsystems are operational. The odds stand in our favor.
But what if... Gaia, there's nothing left out there. You can't even survive unless you're wearing an environmental suit. There are billions dead, in fear and agony. What if it was all for nothing?
Elizabeth, extinction was inevitable. Thanks to you, life will have a future.
You really believe that?
I believe in you, Elizabeth. In you, all things.
Oh man, this would be so rough.
Pure logic won't cut it, Ted. To pull this off, Gaia's going to need to have some skin in the game. It has to care.
What if it runs amok? Have we learned nothing from our mistakes?
Your mistakes, I think you mean?
All I'm saying is give it a kill switch.
She was just born, Ted. I'm not gonna put a gun to her head while she's still in the cradle.
You talk like it's a child. What if it becomes a monster?
Elizabeth, may I speak outside protocol?
Of course, Gaia, go on.
I'm sorry to contradict you, but Mr. Farrow's argument is sound. At this point, the development of my psyche is not entirely predictable. To ensure preservation of life, a hardwired override is, I believe, a necessary safeguard.
There. Satisfied, Ted?
Jeez, Liz, just do what it says.
Ted. What am I supposed to do? Find the entrance to her office. Yeah. But I couldn't get in there if this is where I'm supposed to go. Pry open the door. Ah.
Can't carry more.
I know. Odyssey has failed. I'm afraid Far Zenith has informed me the Odyssey mission has failed. Last night, telemetry indicated a catastrophic antimatter containment failure as the drive spun up to depart the solar system. The ship, its crew, its cargo of zygotes and seeds, the alpha build of Apollo, all were lost. Zero Dawn is now the only hope for the continuation of human species in earthly life. Artemis status. It's coming along, Liz. I'm positive about it. If those words can still mean anything, I had my sleeves rolled up negotiating with frozen zoos for their samples. So many species trapped in ghoulish hologram dioramas suspended in what-ifs. More than 14,000 that went extinct between 2000 and 2043. We've started mapping out primary succession, selecting the pioneer organisms for a balanced and sustainable biosphere, microorganisms and insects, rabbits and hawks, foxes and wolves. Thousands more that'll have to wait their turn until our new generation can be entrusted with the duty of restoring them, so they can return to a world that this time will understand the concept of conservation before it's too late. There's already been too many too lates. We lost a whole collection team during the swarm breakthrough. In Manamar, the samples were lost. Well, were irreplaceable. Thanks to you, Liz, the circle of life will bend, not break. The Earth was a lifeless rock before, and someday it will be again, but not now, not like this, not on our watch. Alright.
The Alpha Registry master file.
Intact?
Yeah. No signs of corruption.
Then what are you waiting for? Copy the file.
With this, I can restore the registry at the hatch inside Allmother. Open it. Go inside.
And grasp the secrets within.
Where I was born. Maybe who gave birth to me.
Who? Are you really so naive? There will be no who waiting for you there, Aloy. Whatever birthed you into the world was a what, not a who.
You bastard.
Oh no, I had a legitimate birth. It's you, Aloy.
Dude.
The creation of a machine.
Dude.
But what kind of machine and why? Why were you created?
Oh no. Oh no. No.
Eclipse.
You need to get out of there. What you found is too valuable. You're too valuable.
Really? Got what you need. Oh no. Oh no. Oh no. That's sealed, right? Oh no. I was thinking that wouldn't go through the thing.
Still alive. Good.
Oh, frick, it's Helis.
I have a more suitable death in mind for you, child.
If we could have just thrown... Oh, I was like, if we could have just thrown a bomb in there, but then that risked breaking everything. Helis...
My entire life, I've always known one thing with prophetic certainty. That I was destined for glory as a great champion of the sun.
Well, I took your prince, so...
Even when Jiran was murdered, even when Meridian fell, I never doubted my destiny. Until you came along.
Huh? Keep
When
talking.
I heard that you had survived, a doubt took root in my mind.
Come on, Aloy. He's not gonna let you do
As
that.
sure as the sun rises and falls each day, those I am bade to kill die. And yet I failed. How? Why? With each dig site you attacked, each loyal soldier you killed, this pestering doubt grew. It grew when High Priest Bahavas went missing, and when the true Sun King Itamen was snatched away. It not only grew, but multiplied. I kept thinking of the moment my knife pierced your throat. One twist, a simple tug of the blade, and you would have bled out. In slaughter, I am a practiced hand. So why hesitate? Why fail my destined purpose?
Trying to bore me to death.
See that scar on your cheek? You didn't get to finish.
Yes, I remember. He fought well. For a savage.
His name was Rost, and he was a better man than you could ever hope to be.
The better man is the one who doesn't end up with his guts steaming on the ground. No, it wasn't him. I could have finished you before he attacked.
That is true.
But I didn't. This failing troubled my thoughts, haunted every step. It was only when I captured you, down in that place, that I finally glimpsed the sun's design etched at length across the course of events. You were meant to survive that day on the mountain. Meant to interfere at dig sites and kill my men. Meant to eliminate High Priest Bahavas. Meant to snatch Itamen away. Conversely, I was meant to capture you. Here. So that you might die as a sacrificial offering to the sun.
I don't think so.
Everything as it was meant to be. Predestined and preordained.
You're an idiot. A dangerous idiot, but an idiot. All this talk of destiny and fate. I'm sure Hades speaks the same language, doesn't he? You're being played for a fool. Hades is an ancient machine, not the buried shadow of Karja myth. It doesn't care about Meridian. It wants to kill everything and everyone. And you are its dutiful slave.
I serve not the buried shadow, but the sun in shadow. All halves of nature joined to one cause. Shadow to sun, dark to light.
Do you really not hear how ridiculous that sounds? You've gone from serving an insane homicidal Sun King to an insane homicidal machine. You're moving down in the world, not up.
I'll remember those words as I watch your corpse burn. Whatever's left of it. You fail to grasp the point. As surely as you've been conquered, so has all doubt. And with certainty of belief comes unstoppable force.
Or idiocy.
Then get this cage and put your faith to the test. See if things work out like you expect.
The circle has closed. Every element is in its proper place, exactly where it belongs. The errant beast, now caged, will serve her true purpose. A sacrificial animal. Oh, speaking of sacrifice, I forgot to tell you. After you crashed the Eclipse network, I sent messengers into the east.
Oh no.
To rally the forces there and mount an invasion of the sacred land.
Oh no.
I ordered every Nora killed. I was hoping to catch you there, but alas, it all seems to have been unnecessary.
Why butcher dozens of innocents for no gain? It's a waste of effort.
You're right. I won't even be there to enjoy it. In any case, I couldn't recall the order even if I wished to. Thanks to your destruction of the network, communication over distances is impossible. You not only doomed yourself, but an entire tribe. Do we not see the scorching judgment of the sun in these events?
Dude.
Your focus. Such a powerful device, isn't it?
You gonna break it?
And yet, so fragile. So you see, this time, I did not hesitate.
All I see is us talking, dude.
The knife has already been twisted.
I'm not dead yet. Come on. Let's move this along. Thanks for watching till the end of the video. Consider giving a like or leaving a comment. The YouTube algorithm favors engagement, so doing one or both of those things really helps the channel. There's social media links in the description and a link to my tip jar if you're interested in helping out that way. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy the next one.